Hi class, in lesson 5.3 you will be learning about writing equivalent ratios. Learning targets for today, you will write ratios and scale up and scale down ratios. Key terms to look for in lesson 5.3, rate, scaling up, and scaling down. Turn to page 326. One of the rounds at the Math Quiz Bowl tournament is a speed round. A team of 4 students will represent Stewart Middle School in the speed round of the Math Quiz Bowl. One student of the team will be chosen to solve as many problems as possible in 20 minutes. The results from this week's practice are recorded in the table. Here are the 4 students, and here are the number of correctly solved problems in a specified time. Each quantity in the table is a rate. A rate is a ratio that compares two quantities that are measured in different units. The rate for each student in this situation is the number of problems solved per amount of time. K's rate is 4 problems correct per 5 minutes. This rate can be written as a ratio, 4 problems correct per 5 minutes. Please answer number 6, letters A through C, with your group members. Susan's rate would be 7 problems correct per 10 minutes. Doug's rate, 1 problem correct per 2 minutes. And Mako's rate, 3 problems correct per 4 minutes. Turn to the top of page 327. When two ratios or rates are equivalent to each other, you can write them as a proportion. A proportion is an equation that states that two ratios are equal. You can write a proportion by placing an equal sign between the two equivalent ratios. For example, you know that Kay got 4 problems correct per 5 minutes. So, you can predict how many problems she could answer correctly in 20 minutes. If we multiply the problems correct by 4 and the minutes by 4, we get 16 problems correct per 20 minutes. So that tells us that Kay can probably answer 16 problems correctly in 20 minutes. When you change a ratio to an equivalent ratio with larger numbers, you are scaling up the ratio. Scaling up means you multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same factor. It is important to remember to write the numbers representing the same quantity in both numerators and in both denominators. It doesn't matter which quantity is in the numerator or the denominator. It matters that the unit of measure is consistent among the ratios. Another way that you could write equivalent ratios for K correctly solving problems in 20 minutes is this way. If we multiplied the minutes by 4 and the problems correct by 4, we would still see that in 20 minutes she would probably get 16 problems correct. Turn to page 328 and answer number 7, letters A through C, with your group members. For number 7, letter A, Susan can probably solve 14 problems correctly in 20 minutes. Your scaling up factor is going to be 2. For letter B, Doug can probably solve 10 problems correctly in 20 minutes. Your scaling up factor is 10. And for letter C, Mako can probably solve 15 problems correct in 20 minutes. The scaling up factor is 5. The muffin variety packs baked by the Healthy For You bakery come in a ratio of 2 blueberry muffins to 5 total muffins. Please answer number 8, letters A through F, with your group members. For number 8, letter A, you will have 50 total muffins. Your scaling up factor is going to be 10. For letter B, 75 total muffins. Your scaling up factor is going to be 15. For letter C, you will have 40 blueberry muffins. Your scaling up factor is going to be 20. Letter D, 125 total muffins, your scaling up factor will be 25. For letter E, 6 blueberry muffins, your scaling up factor will be 3. And for letter F, 70 total muffins, your scaling up factor will be 14. Turn to page 330. When you change a ratio to an equivalent ratio with smaller numbers, you are now scaling down the ratio. Scaling down means you divide the numerator and the denominator by the same factor. Scaling down a ratio often makes it easier to understand. Please answer number 9, letters A through H with your group members. For number 9, letter A, you are going to have 1 person. Your scaling down factor is going to be 3. Letter B, you will have 3 people. Your scaling down factor is going to be 2. For letter C, you will have 4 track shirts. Your scaling down factor is 25. For letter D, you will have 12 tracks. Your scaling down factor is 5. Letter E, you will have $8.75. Your scaling down factor is 3. Letter F, you will have $12. Your scaling down factor is 20. Letter G, 240 miles. Your scaling down factor is 3. And for letter H, you will have 1.5 gallons of red paint. Your scaling down factor is 2. When you scale up or scale down in order to determine an equivalent ratio, it is just like what we did in Chapter 3 when we found equivalent fractions. If we multiplied or divided by a fraction form of 1, we found equivalent fractions. So a connection with what we did back in Chapter 3 for what we are doing now in Chapter 5 when determining equivalent ratios. This will conclude Lesson 5.3 on writing equivalent ratios. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.